Thomas the Tank Engine loves these jobs on the island of Sodor. The Fat Controller always gives him jobs with carrying special loads. One day, Thomas was carrying a very special load which had to be taken to the docks. It was very heavy as well. Thomas had been told by the Fat Controller that he needed to get there before tea time. He puffed very hard down the track. But he puffed so hardly that his traction rods broke. He wasn't going anywhere. "Oh dear!" cried Thomas. "What am I to do now?" Then Thomas's driver spotted an old shed. "I wonder what's inside there," said Thomas's driver. "Maybe there's a telephone so I can call for help." As he opened the shed door, a voice answered, "Do you mind? I'm trying to sleep." Thomas was worried. "What is it, driver?" "Wait and see," said the driver. Then the fireman took some of Thomas's coal. "She might be useful to us to get Thomas to the docks on time. She can ride towards the village where the traction rods are. Only if her boiler holds," said the fireman. "What kind of surprise is that?" asked Thomas. Thomas's driver came out of the shed. "Thomas, meet Elizabeth," he said proudly. The shed doors opened, and out chuffed a dusty, dirty, grimy steam lorry. "So you're the little puffer that's broken down," said Elizabeth. "And you're just a sentimental lorry," said Thomas cheekily. Vintage sentimental lorry," said Elizabeth. The fireman started her engine, and she rolled down the road. As she rumbled down the road, her engine started coughing and spluttering. As she got towards the hill, her engine sounded worse. "She's not built for hills," thought the fireman. "You're losing steam," he shouted to Elizabeth. "Just catching my breath," said Elizabeth. At last she made it. Soon she arrived back with the new traction rods for Thomas. "And next time," she said, "try to be more careful." Thomas thought Elizabeth was the rudest lorry he had ever met. But he was very pleased to have his new coupling rods. When he got to the docks, the Fat Controller was waiting for him. "What took you so long, Thomas?" he asked. Thomas told the Fat Controller about his broken coupling rods. He was about to tell him how rude Elizabeth had been when she rumbled up. "Oh, it's you," she said to the Fat Controller. "Have you learnt how to drive properly yet?" "She's for it now," Thomas whispered to his driver. But the Fat Controller was smiling at Elizabeth. "Elizabeth, my first lorry! I thought you were lost." Elizabeth and the Fat Controller were old friends. This was all too much for Thomas. The Fat Controller was so pleased that Elizabeth had been found that he asked Jem Cole if he could fix up Elizabeth. "I'll have her spick and span and all fixed up in no time," said Jem Cole. A few days later, Elizabeth came out of the shed. She had a glorious new coat of paint and new parts. "You're the most splendid lorry in all of the island," said the Fat Controller. And Thomas had to agree. She did look grand.